and I am going to be covering web accessibility for lesson 8 for CIT 230 for Sister Campbell's class. I don't believe that we've covered much content on this so far in our lessons. I didn't come across anything in the reading, and I didn't see anything in the reading for this week either. So I went to the web, and I found a lot of information there. We have covered some of it, and some of it I think is common sense, but there are a lot of things that were kind of surprising that I found when I was going through and trying to find information on web accessibility. There is a lot of information out there, so I think that anybody that is designing a website and programming it would be better off to do some research and try to find information on how to make all of this work. But here is a brief overview of what web accessibility is, some examples. So the Wikipedia definition for web accessibility is web accessibility refers to the inclusive practice of removing barriers that prevent interaction with or access to websites by people with disabilities. When sites are correctly designed, developed, and edited, all users have equal access to information and functionality. And here's the link that I found that information at. Okay, so some examples are visual impairments. So visual impairments could be anything such as blindness, or poor eyesight, or low vision, or even color blindness. Another example would be auditory, obviously. I think visual and auditory are the biggest ones that you think of. So we've got deaf or hard of hearing. Motor or mobility, this is something that I actually didn't think of. So difficulty or inability to use hands. This could be caused by tremors, muscle slowness, loss of fine motor skills. These can be caused by conditions such as Parkinson's, or cerebral palsy, or stroke, or muscular dystrophy, or maybe even a loss of fingers. I know some people actually that have lost fingers, and it never occurred to me that maybe they have trouble navigating through the web. So the next would be seizures. This is another one that I didn't think of. Photoepileptic seizures. So we'll cover that a little bit later. And then cognitive, intellectual disabilities, such as learning disabilities, developmental disabilities. So, okay, so the first one, which we have covered, is textual descriptions provided for images. So I know that when we are rushing to get an assignment done, or we think that our instructor is going to be the only one to view our web page, we kind of just slap something random in there for the alternative text. I do think it's good to get into the practice now of making sure that we have descriptive alternative text there. I know that it's best if they're brief and not super wordy. Here's an example of one of the ones that I have for my website. So, of course, I've got the image tag there with the link to the image, and my alternative text is picture, tornado, and full rainbow. So, very brief, to the point, but the user should get an idea of what that text or what that picture is supposed to be of. Okay, so the next one would be for links. It's best if they have a descriptive name. So, I mean, this one is already kind of in the name, www.byu.edu or online, but I have for the description here BYU Idaho. So anybody that's using a screen reader would be able to know that's for BYU Idaho's website. Okay, so the next one, it's good to have large images or images that are enlargeable. So instead of just having the small version on the bottom left-hand side, it would be a good idea to make it so that your images can enlarge and not pixelate when they're doing that as well. So maybe with the responsive design, I'm not sure if there's a way for us to work that in there, but I know if I'm trying to look at something closely and the image is too small, and I don't have a visual impairment, but if I were to try to view something and the image is too small, I get incredibly frustrated when I try to blow it up, and you can't make anything out because the image is just poor quality. So that's the thing to keep in mind. Okay, so the next one is large clickable links and areas. So if you have pictures or buttons or links or your navigation, it helps to have large clickable links for those that have difficulty controlling a mouse with precision. So maybe those that have lost their fine motor skills or have suffered a stroke, it's much easier for them to navigate the website if you've made the links easy to click on. Okay, and then underline links. So while it's great to change the color of the text to help it stand out, it's better to have them underlined as well, because if you have a user that's colorblind, they're not going to be able to see the difference, or potentially they won't be able to see the difference in color. So if you have the links underlined, or if you change the color of the text somewhere because you want to emphasize that, maybe put it in italics or bold it as well so that they can pick that out. It's not just the links. I mean, if you're trying to get a point across on your website and you use color to drive a point home, I would probably think that we should add some styling to that also to help those that are colorblind. I'm not sure. I mean, I know that there may be some things that you can do as far as maybe not using green and red together, because I know those are two that get confused with color blindness. But I mean, there are people out there that just see black and white, so it's best to have some stylizing going on there as well with your font. So the next one is navigation without a mouse. I haven't seen necessarily how to do this yet. I'm not sure if we're going to cover it in class or not, but they said it's important to make sure that you can navigate by keyboard or with a switch access device. So I know a lot of sites, if my mouse is acting goofy, I'll just tap through the website and click enter when I want to access something. I noticed on one of my links on the website to calculate wind chill that it wasn't working for the enter button. So I'm not sure how to add that into the programming. I'm not sure if it's something that we have to do in our coding, or if it's just the way that my site is laid out. Okay, and then hearing impaired. So ensure all videos have closed captioning, a transcript to follow along with, or make available a sign language version. I have friends personally that are deaf, and I actually translate a lot in Young Women's, and it's aggravating for them. And this was something that they had expressed frustration to in the past, where there's a video or something on the internet that they want to watch, they may not be able to get the full gist of it because there's no closed captioning or any way for them to understand what's going on. So, especially if you think that your website may attract that type of demographic, then you may want to find out what's acceptable for that community, because it is a community, and see what would best benefit them. So maybe do a little research, reach out to somebody that is deaf and ask them what difficulties they run into when they're trying to navigate a website, and when they're trying to view a video, and see if they prefer the ASL sign language version, or if they prefer to hand transcript they can follow along with closed captioning. All right, and then avoid flashing lights or graphics, or make them optional. This is for those that are prone to seizures, like with epilepsy, or maybe put a warning out there that you have some graphics that could have a high frequency of flashing lights. Okay, here are some web browsing assistants, web browsing assistant technologies that are out there that we want to make sure that our websites are compatible with. So the first would be screen readers, obviously for those that are visually impaired, whether or not they are totally blind or just have some low vision. Next one is Braille terminals, which again is for the visually impaired. There's speech recognition, and that's obviously for those that are visually impaired. It could be visually impaired, or it could be a whole slew of other things if they have difficulty with fine motor skills. And the next is access to subtitles or sign language, which we talked about in the previous slide. And the next one is screen magnification software. So I have, there's a lady at church that she has a smartphone, but she is legally blind. She can see, she has some vision left, but she's legally blind. And she has her cell phone, and she puts it all the way up to her eye, and has a little magnifying glass that she looks through to try to read like her scriptures or anything on her phone. And I just think that her life would be made so much easier if web designers adhere to some of these principles when they are developing their websites. So just some food for thought as far as accessibility goes on the web. And if you have any questions, feel free to post them in the discussion board here. I can't promise that I will be able to answer them, but I'm sure that Sister Campbell will have some feedback. Thank you for watching.